EA Sports just removed a feature from Madden 22 because it was breaking the game. A new feature, a bullet point feature for the game this year. A reason that some people may have bought the game, maybe not, but either way, they actually had to remove it because it's breaking the game, along with all the other things that are currently breaking the game. Now here's the tweet that Madden NFL Direct put out this morning. It said, "Hey MUT community, due to issues related to halftime adjustments, the Madden team will be turning off this feature in game. We do not have an ETA on when the feature will be back in game, but we will provide an update when the feature becomes available again." Now, there's a few things I want to talk about in this video and kind of the state of Madden 22, and it seems like every year we're right back in the same spot. We get excited, or maybe some of us get excited. I get excited, yes, shoot me. I get excited during the summer when they're announcing new things for the game, things that sound cool. I always love Madden. I try to make the best out of it, even when the game's bad. I still have a little bit of fun here and there, but I wish the game was better. But we always go through the same cycle. Hey, maybe the game will be better this year. Sometimes the game is better that year, but we still always kind of wind up back in the same spot where too many things are literally breaking the game, even new features, new updates, things that are fixed break other things, and it's just constant roller coaster of just constant problems in the game. Now, I've kind of just grown accustomed to this because it seems like for years now, every game just has tons of issues at launch, especially yearly games, but even games that have been worked on for years like Cyberpunk, it just becomes normal now, and I thought, hey, this is just the state of gaming. Either play or don't play, but they're going to have problems when they release. But this year, something interesting happened. Another game that gets a lot of backlash, that gets panned in the user score, that has tons of issues and game-breaking issues, is actually being enjoyed this year, and that's NBA 2K22. For the first time in many years, so far, people are kind of enjoying the game, and it does still have its issues like any game, but the overall reception has actually been positive for the first time in what, like 5 years, whereas Madden is still consistently back having all these issues. And what they did today by removing this from the game, there's a bigger issue at play here, because let's say, number one, people are going to say, well, this is a feature that they sold, that they promoted, and now they've actually had to remove it from the game. People may have actually bought the game for this. I don't really think many people cared that much about halftime adjustments to buy the game for it, but I'm sure there's somebody that bought the game because they thought it would be cool. And guess what? Now it's taken away, and we don't even know when it's coming back. But the bigger issue at play here, and I'm going to tell you this is the biggest issue, no one even cares that it was removed. You know why no one cares that it was removed? Because no one really cared about the feature. No one really use it. I won't say no one, some people use it, but in terms of Ultimate Team, there really wasn't much benefit of using it. Now, I think you still have halftime adjustments in the regular game, like franchise mode or regular online head-to-head, but even in those, doesn't it just kind of feel like something that's not really that useful? Does it really feel like it impacts the game? No. And I think that's one of the biggest problems Madden has had over the last decade even, is there's not been a lot of times where they've innovated or done something different that it actually felt like it made a difference in the game for people to care about. The only time in recent memory where they actually nailed this, I think, is when they added abilities to the game in Madden 20, even though they're polarizing and a lot of people hate them, but a lot of people love them. The one thing for sure is that they matter. You have to pay attention to them. You have to use them. You have to try to counter them. You have to respect them in the game because they actually matter. They change the game. They affect the game. They matter. A lot of the other things they've done over the years, people just don't care about, or they try it out and they're like, this is kind of just some BS. Halftime adjustments being one of those features. Even the new momentum and home field advantage, something I was excited about. I'm gonna be honest, when I'm playing online head-to-head, I don't even really pay attention to it. There's very few moments where I feel like I actually have to pay attention to this feature. It just doesn't really feel like it impacts the game enough. Now, maybe if you're a franchise player, I think from just an immersion standpoint, it's actually probably pretty good there. But in the overall scope of the game, for something that was supposed to be like the next step of abilities in a way, it doesn't really quite have the impact that abilities and X factors do. You can look years ago when they made target passing a thing. They took it out after a year because literally nobody used it. No one cared about it. You can look at face of the franchise. They're trying to do something like NBA 2K, having a My Career with a story and all these other things. But when you look at what 2K does, it just pales in comparison. It's nowhere near the level of what 2K does, and no one cares about face of the franchise. I mean, again, I won't say nobody. Obviously, people play it, but the problem with it being kind of uninspired and not that good overall is that it's so glitchy and buggy every year that you can't even properly play it. So, yes, 2K sometimes have issues with their My Career mode, but the mode as a whole is so deep, and it integrates with the park, which then turns into the neighborhood, which now has a whole city and RPG elements. And while some of those things can still be corny and bad at times in 2K, when compared to Madden, it's just on a whole nother universe that it at least makes the mode better overall. Then you look at the yard, something something I thought was great for Madden. I actually had fun playing it last year, but guess what? This year didn't really go further. And again, when you look at 2K, what they're doing with the park, that's the bar, and Madden is so far away from that, and the blueprint is there, and they hardly really touched the yard this year. They did add some new things to it. They made it a little bit better, but not enough to compete with what the standard is, which is 2K. And this is the biggest problem with Madden. I think the one word that describes it is it's just stale. Do I have fun playing it to an extent online, competing? Yes, every year. I love competing, but even that's gotten stale because really everybody does just kind of run the same thing now, because it's just the path to least resistance of winning games, especially if you're playing in a mode like Ultimate Team where rewards are so important. Anytime they try to innovate, for the most part, it just doesn't land. People wind up not caring about it. Case in point today, they removed a selling point from the game with no ETA on return because it was literally breaking the game and desyncing people and causing them to get losses in online head-to-head games. But that's not even what people should be mad about. What people should be mad about is the fact that no one really cares that it's gone because no one used it. And that's kind of been the story, face of the franchise. Again, the yard for a lot of people. Even in franchise mode, they finally bring back good features. I think they actually did a good job there, but the issue is now you have game-breaking glitches in franchise that makes it to where you can't even enjoy the features. And they still haven't added the scouting update yet. They said it was coming in September. To be fair, it's still September, but we're halfway through and it's not here yet, and people are kind of growing a little impatient because when you say September, you know your customers are going to expect early September, not late September. It's not there, and when you pile that on top of all the other issues the game is having, people are going to start getting aggravated, and what happens? People put the game down. The NFL season just started, and Madden already feels dead, and it doesn't make anything better that 2K just came out and is actually for the first time in a long time being praised and people are having fun, whereas when you look over to the Madden community, you don't see as many people having fun. I don't know what it's going to take. I love this game. I love the community. I want it to get better. I still have fun. I still enjoy it. I'm going to still continue to make content, but it would be wrong to sit here and act like things don't feel like they're dying more and more each year, and a lot of that falls back on the fact that there's nothing new to be excited about. After the first few weeks and that honeymoon phase wears off, and this, to be fair, is probably going to happen with 2K at some point this year too, and it's going to happen with FIFA, and I'm sure it's already happened with MLB The Show. After a month or two, you kind of get back to just going through the motions of, hey, I'm playing the same game I played last year. There's some differences, but overall, everybody kind of settles back into whatever mode they play, running kind of the same similar things that have worked for years, and you just go back through the motions of kind of doing the same thing over and over, and it gets boring. But I think at least with some of these other games, there's at least sometimes some things in there that make the game more exciting and feel a little bit more new, and Madden has struggled with that. Even though I feel like there's been attempts to add new things or bring back old things and make them better, they're just not things that people are caring about. You're removing stuff from the game and no one's really that mad at it. Most people are just kind of laughing at it because they're like, look, you try to add something new and it literally breaks the game. And people are now saying, well, what's going to happen when the scouting update comes? The scouting update might be great, but what if it doesn't actually work properly and breaks the game, and then you literally can't even play franchise mode? It's a legit conversation that has to be had because it's just been consistent of the Madden game over the past few years. I don't really know what's going to happen. Maybe they need some new direction. I do think the last 3 years they've actually been making attempts to do more. They've been putting more into the game through their dev cycles than they were. Like when you look at Madden 13 to Madden 19, there weren't that many noticeable differences. From Madden 20 to 22, they've at least been putting things or bringing things back and doing more. But again, it comes back to the problem of a lot of people just wind up not caring about it because they're either not executed well, they're just so far away from the bar that other sports games have already set, so it just feels so incomplete, or even if the feature can be good, it's buggy and glitchy and you can't even fully enjoy it. So there's just a long list of things that are making Madden stale and making it die, in my opinion, earlier and earlier each year, and today is just kind of another example of the two biggest reasons why. You actually try to do something new, sell something new, do something that's different for the game, and it can't even work properly with the game. And then the other half of it is people didn't care about it anyway. So I don't know, just kind of wanted to put a little news video / rant video out. Let me know what you guys think below. I just want the game to be better. I want to have more fun playing it. I know everybody else does as well. Let me know what you think below. I'll see you guys next time.